Well, I'd like to welcome everyone this afternoon to the Mayor's State of the Community Address. My name is Jay Strobel, and I'm the City Manager here in Brooklyn Park. I now have the pleasure of introducing Nicole Hayes, who will be introducing Mayor Lunde this afternoon. Nicole is on the Hennepin County Anoka-Hennepin School Board member and works to improve student achievement in our Brooklyn Park schools. Nicole serves on several committees and boards as a representative of Anoka-Hennepin, including the Brooklyn Bridge Alliance for Youth, the Association for Metropolitan School Districts, and the Northwest Suburban Integration School District. Professionally, Nicole has nearly 20 years of experience in program development and volunteer management. Nicole and her family, Tom, Nick, and Katie, have lived in Brooklyn Park for over 20 years. If everyone could please join me in welcoming Nicole Hayes to the podium.
Thank you, Jay. Welcome, good evening. In a few minutes, I have the honor of introducing our mayor. But first, let me ask you a question. What does community mean to you? Family, friends, the neighborhood you live in, places of worship, our parks and trails, police and fire, restaurants, well, hopefully schools too. Brooklyn Park is unique. Our community is served by 3 quality public school districts: Osseo, Robbinsdale, and Anoka-Hennepin. There are nearly 1,200 Brooklyn Park students that attend Champlain Park High School, almost 900 at Jackson Middle School, and more than 1,300 Champlain Park students attend an Anoka-Hennepin Elementary School in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, or Champlain. Anoka-Hennepin is grateful for the support of our 2017 referendum. Thank you to our district voters for overwhelmingly approving a bond to expand and equip our schools for the future. The dirt is flying. If you've been up to Champlain Park High School, you have seen that. We are adding classrooms, improving and expanding athletic, art, and community spaces. Your support includes a $15 million investment at Champlain Park High School and nearly $25 million across the street at Jackson Middle School and Champlain Brooklyn Park Academy. And yes, finally, portable classrooms will be a thing of the past. And that is thanks to you, the voters in the Anoka-Hennepin district that approved those funds. Thank you so much. But beyond dirt and bricks, schools are about students and staff. Last year, Champlain Park High School had 4 National Merit semifinalists and 6 students who scored a perfect 36 on the ACT. But the numbers that are even important to me, however, are graduation rates and achievement gaps. In 2018, Champlain Park's overall graduation rate was 92.55%, 10 percentage points higher than the state average. However, 6 years ago, there was a 20-point gap between our black and white students' graduation rates. Today, that gap is down to 4 points, while the state average remains over 20. We aren't there yet, but we've made a lot of progress, and we will continue until that gap is closed. Strong schools are vitally important to a community, but the secret to creating a great place to live, to work, to own a business and raise a family is also what happens outside of the school day. As a 22-year resident of Brooklyn Park, I have seen that that can be done when you have quality parks and programs for kids, a community preschool, adult education and youth athletic programs, collaborations like the Brooklyn Bridge Alliance for Youth, when you have a safe community, an engaged police department, and when you have a city that brings its neighbors together to listen, to learn, and to respond to what they hear. And that only happens when you have a city staff that cares, a city council that is engaged, and a mayor who leads. We are fortunate to have all of this in Brooklyn Park, and I'm honored to introduce our mayor, Jeffrey Lunde. Mayor Lunde is no stranger to Brooklyn Park. He has lived here for more than 20 years and is very involved. Currently, he serves on the Blue Line LRT and is a leading advocate for state and federal funding for transit options for our region. He is one of the founding mayors for Cities United and President Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative, both of which are focused on providing opportunities for youth of diverse backgrounds, and continues to serve on their national boards. As part of this effort, he represents suburban cities on the Hennepin County Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee. Mayor Lunde was re-elected in November of last year and is currently serving his third term as mayor. Mayor Lunde and his wife Jody have 2 sons, Joshua and Jedrick, both of whom attend school within the Anoka-Hennepin School District. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Jeffrey Lunde to the podium.
It's a force of habit to look this way when I'm supposed to look down there. I just want to welcome everybody here. I don't know if you noticed, but the golf club house looks a little different. Hopefully, everybody noticed. I'm praying. And so we're grateful that you're here today, and also grateful for many things. If you haven't had a chance to look in the restaurant, we'd encourage you. It is the city's restaurant, and so to speak, D'Amico Catering has taken over delivering the food, and I think that anybody who has gone and tested it out will attest to the quality that they have brought to our city. I'd like to first thank my wife, Jody, and my sons, Joshua and Jedrick, who are hiding in the background back there. So just a little story about my oldest son. I was at Champion Park High School today to do 4 of these State of the Community speeches. And I told my son I was going to go after lunch. I'll go find him the lunch. We can have lunch together. Didn't see him for some reason. Couldn't find him anywhere. So I asked him if he was hiding. He goes, "No, of course not. I wasn't hiding. Did you come?" And yes, I'm sure he was hiding. Actually, I didn't come. I knew better. He actually did stuff this weekend. If he had been a bad kid, I definitely would have showed up and embarrassed him in front of everybody. So I do want to welcome city staff. I didn't see who all came in, but if I could have the Brooklyn Park City Council members please stand, just so I can recognize them. So I know I'll forget somebody, but I know I have council members Parks and Jacobson representing the East District. We have Winfred Russell from the West, Tanya West Hafner from the Central. We also have council members Pa and Maida, who I didn't see here, but very much, they're probably gearing up for tonight. We have a monster marathon meeting all ahead of us. And so I just want to welcome everybody, what we're doing. So this is kind of our first time at trying to talk about doing a State of the Community. A lot of people do State of the City. Historically, North Hennepin Chamber of Commerce hosted 4 cities to do a State of the City. It was well received. Lots of people turned out. With the passing of their executive director, North Hennepin Chamber of Commerce decided to disband. And so all 4 of us cities are kind of trying something out differently. We decided to do a State of the Community. What's the difference between a city and a community? A city is all about geography. A community is about people. And so we decided to do something different. We are going to have a State of the Community week. I have 32 meetings scheduled. I did 4 this morning at the high school with their government classes. We've got mosques, we've got churches, we've got others, we have business owners, we have Isaac Walton League, we've got things all over the place. We're going to take the community to the community and give them all updates, let them ask questions. And so we try to do it in unique style in Brooklyn Park, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to actually take it out of this building, take it to the different members, let them ask questions, and hopefully set a standard for how a city delivers differently the remarks on the State of the City. So I'll walk through some topics. I think being age-friendly is probably first and foremost right now one of our priorities. Age-friendly is not just being friendly and saying hi. It's about providing services, right? About providing park resources that people who want to go out and enjoy a different style of a park can get out there and enjoy it. It's also about hosting great services. Soon we'll have our first memory care unit where people come who are suffering the beginning of Alzheimer's, where they need special care. We have other places where people will go as they serve out the last few months of their life, but they need to be treated with dignity and respect. And so we're starting to have businesses come to help host those places. We know it's important to be not just a city where people come, live, work, and play, but also maybe they spend their last few years among relatives. When you grow up in a community, you live here, your relatives are here, your grandchildren are here, you would like a place to stay so you could see and be with them. And so we're really concentrated on that. I think that we will see more work over the next year, especially through our committees and council on the Alzheimer's, our police department, recognizing the effects of Alzheimer's. Police may have encountered someone who may be confused, and being able to recognize that that may be someone who's suffering some early stages, and that's a different type of response. And so we're trying to work on that and do better. Park system. Talk about investment. Noka Hennepin talked about their investment in their school district. Last year, the residents of Brooklyn Park, old and young, decided to invest in parks. We did a park bond. We did it on purpose. This council could have approved those bonds, but we thought it was important that the city weigh in. What do you want? How much do you want to spend? Where do you want it? And so we had a big engagement for like 2 years where we asked residents, what would you like to see? What would you like to be redone? What are we missing? What could we do better? And so all that went into a formula that basically came out and we asked the residents for approval to spend up to $26 million. It's not going to happen all in 1 year unless Jody Younger's, where's Jody? Just doing a temperature check, make sure her heart rate is still good. Probably over the course of 2 years. No, probably over the course of about 10 years, we're going to start to roll this out. And we're going to try to live up to everything that we promised the voters that if they approved it, here's what we'd do. We have, first up is phase 1, Lakeland, Norwood, and Hartkoff parks. We're going to revamp them, but we don't just come in with bulldozers and revamp them. What's going to happen is Rec and Park Department, the Rec and Park Committee, they're going to go out and meet with residents and make sure that they're engaged, that they get a chance to decide what goes in those parks. So these are community parks. We're going to make sure the community has a say in what we do. They're going to help pick out what goes in there. We're going to try to get their input at every step of the way. And I think if you think back to this one, this is why I have the clicker, because I was going to go back and forth. What we found in the park bond was the biggest proponents, people who were retired. They wanted a place to walk in the winter. They wanted a place that they could go out and enjoy things. They wanted things that were built that actually allowed them to take part in senior activities, which frankly we had some, but they weren't good enough. This leads us to this. Brooklyn Park is happy. It came out a couple weeks ago, our partnership with the Osseo School District for Sports Dome at Park Center High School. The two biggest proponents, the youth and the senior citizens. Because in the winter, it's pretty hard to walk with all the snow we have. This gives us the option. So by partnering, we're able to do things like, say, when school doesn't need it, the city's going to use it. That dome will be used as much as we possibly can. It's going to be inflated and ready to use. There's no reason to shut it down unless, right? So what we're going to do is try to have the ability for senior citizens, all ages, to be able to go in there, do activities year-round, along with the youth. So when I was at Champlain Park High School this morning, I was talking to 4 government classes, and the last class had all the athletes in them. It was lunchtime. It made sense, really, the way it worked. And I was talking about the sports dome. And one of them got up, went and ran to the window, and he goes, "Where is it?" And I'd break news to him, Park Center, this is Champlain Park. And so I think you saw some excitement. When we announced the partnership, there was genuine excitement. I think all the council members heard from the community about how excited they were. This is part of the park bond. This is part of that ability to deliver resources that not only help people at all ages and all capabilities. So I believe that we're looking at construction starting in June. I believe it will be open in November. I know I see a few members. If I could ask, I'm gonna ask people, get you guys up so you don't fall asleep on me. Osseo School District Board members. I know I saw Mike, Kelsey, I think. So I just want to thank you for the partnership. It's existed many years. We work with all our schools in Noka Hennepin. I think this partnership, I can already tell you that 3 other cities have asked to see what we're doing because they want to see how we're doing it. We're copying what Maple Grove did. We're modifying it. Other cities, and I think you're going to see people talk about this as a way for people to offer things. It's not just about the schools. It's about the schools and the cities in them. CETA. I know what you're thinking, another acronym, right? Government loves those. So we've got our partnership with North Hennepin to talk about a Center for Innovation in Arts. It's a concept right now. I know President is here. I'm glad. I was told she might walk out in the middle of my speech, but she has to. There's something more important tonight. A pinning of honors on nursing students, which I think is much more important. So anyway, this partnership is the idea that we could have a Center for Arts in our community that could be used by multiple institutions. The idea that in our community, what's rich about Brooklyn Park is all the different groups, all the culture they bring. It's not just one culture, it's many cultures, and that's exhibited by art, by music. And so that this would be a way for students to kind of come together and start to expand on that. And our partnership in concept, I'll put it that far, because there's a lot of hurdles yet to come, including raising $2 or $3 probably, is to get the funding. So first step is we've got a partnership. We have the will to get something done, which is the first step. I expect that if we are successful, you're going to see Osseo School District. You're going to see Noka Hennepin. You're going to see Robbinsdale. You're going to see City of Maple Grove, Brooklyn Center, Champlin, Brooklyn Park coming together, because it's a regional focus, not just Brooklyn Park, but it's meant to be the entire region, because we all succeed if we work together. This is a big deal, and it's going to require some dollars, and we know that the more people that are engaged to bring this forward, the more likelihood of a success. So I know the council, we've helped appropriate some money to start studying it, and we're looking forward to the next steps so that hopefully we can deliver something unique, just like our motto. Transportation, the little train that could, maybe, or hope. How long does it take a train to get here? I don't know. One more day than I thought, I think is the right answer. So we continue to work on light rail. I think the good news is we've Hennepin County support for financial. They contributed their 51%. We got to work with a little tiny railroad and convince them to let us co-locate. I think the city manager of Golden Valley said it correctly when he said that every light rail has had its challenges. And despite what we think about, this is horrible, this is the worst, we've had the worst, we've been going uphill both ways, everything has worked against us. The fact is, so has every other light rail. So we just have to stick with it when things kind of knock us down, get back up, keep working hard, right? And so we know that the community's support for this is important, because we need you to make sure you're calling your legislators. And I'll say this, and I say it with all due respect, it's not good enough to say you support the light rail. You have to support and fight for it. So we need to ask our legislators to start fighting. And we need to make sure the governor knows that we need to fight. Because if you're going to get the railroad to do anything, it's not with touchy-feely things. They respect power and power only. You have to negotiate with them, and you have to signal your intent. So I would ask, if you support light rail, contact your legislators. Make sure they're doing more than just saying, I support it. They're fighting for it. I think there's support on both sides of the aisle, especially up here in the Northwest. Because if you look at transportation system, the Northwest doesn't have any. We have some buses, not enough. And transportation is one of the most important things that we can do to help people. The other thing I think that's as important, especially if anybody who lives on 252, is the money set to turn 252 into a highway. So I'd like to thank Councilmember Parks and Jacobson. They've been members of the 252 committee. About 2023, they'll start construction. By 2025, we expect completion. You'll be able to drive straight up 252 and not have a light. The better news is, all the people who live on there don't have to deal with all the traffic when the roads back up and people get off on Westwood Road and everywhere else. So if you're commuting through Brooklyn Park, you can stay on the road. The other part is we'll have overpasses so people can connect through now. Before you had to cross a highway, we lost a kid this winter. We lose kids crossing that highway all the time. And so we know that if we can provide access so people can get underneath it and walk back and forth, we actually connect the riverside of our city with the rest of it. Right now, they kind of are isolated. So we know that that will be a big deal. There'll be lots of construction. That will be painful. But the end result will be something I think we've always wanted, is why are there lights on 252? We'll take care of that. And so we're pretty excited about that. Lastly, and certainly not least, is our interchange at 101st and 169. So thanks to our legislators, I'll call them out, Senators Eaton and Hoffman, Representatives Hortman. Vang wasn't there, but she's there now, and Representative Nelson helped us get the bonding and the money from different aspects so that we can finish that. So I believe this summer, I think we're going to finalize plans. I think construction will start next year. Don't see anybody saying no, so you can print that. Okay. We'll start construction, so at 101st there'll be an interchange, much like at 93rd. And so what that's going to open up is North Park, the North Park Business Park. And we expect there can be anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 jobs in that corridor. And it continues our goal, which is to bring jobs to Brooklyn Park. Because if we bring jobs, other things start to follow. So we will continue to work in that. You'll see more things. But I think, if I could, I'd like to ask everybody to once again give staff a round of applause. So if we could do that. Why do I say that? Because of that $28 million, we have to cough up a little bit of it, but our staff fundraised the rest. They got grants from the state, they got grants from the county, they got bonding money. Most of that money that's going into that project is from outside Brooklyn Park. So when you talk about hiring good staff and them delivering on things, our good staff brought in about $22 million of money. I call that a good investment. So when you pay good people, they do great things, and I think that interchange will pay off greatly. I did try to, and I was talked out of it. I wanted to do like a Project Hot Dish kind of a slide here and switch to it and have this thing that showed like one of those heavily redacted reports where everything is copied out, but that was probably too much fun for me. So another aspect that we've tried to enjoy in the city is we've invested in solar panels. So if you go back behind the CAC and you look, you'll see, I think, with a solar panel garden, I think for lack of a better term. There will be solar panels on a few of our government buildings. Basically, the idea is that we harness the energy. It's actually a good investment. So not only if people care about renewable energy, using clean energy, we are doing that. The other half is, from the taxpayer's point of view, it will start to return about $60,000 in electricity costs to the city. Over the course of that 25 years, the last 5 years, it's free and clear, which means the city gets it. We recoup all the benefits of it. So from a money, just from the financial aspect, it is a winner for the city. We issue the bonds, they're paid off by the company, the equipment is provided. At the end of the 20 years, we actually own the equipment. So it's kind of both things. People talk about one or the other when you can do both, and we think that you will see those solar gardens and solar panels going up and delivering on some of those promises. This is not a bank heist. That is our city manager. You did see him up there. It's questionable, okay? His daughter and him came up to help pack bags. I know more than a few people have done it. We have a new system called the Connect, where we try to pack bags with different materials, businesses, offerings, and we try to welcome people to our city. Owners and renters. We used to not have it for renters. It used to be just for single-family homeowners. We've decided to maybe change up how we do things. People who rent have just as much right to enjoy our city. They deserve to know what's going on in the city. And so we're trying to work hard to trying to deliver on that, making them part of the city by giving them the same things that a family owner would get. And so we're delivering these bags, and so if they're business owners who want to put some information in there, or schools, or programming, these bags get packed. And so we've had some events where people come, a church or somebody comes together and helps us pack the bags, and then we deliver them. And we try to deliver them to any new resident so that they get to see their new community. And we hope that will help people get more connected, because if you know about what's going on, it makes it easier to get engaged. So City Hall on the go. We're trying a new concept, which is to take the City Hall out to the road, which may scare a lot of people when you really think about it. Not just the days of sitting in City Hall. We want to take it out and let people talk to decision makers. You want to talk about the road? We'll have somebody from the streets department. If you want to talk about different aspects of parks. And so that way people can, idea that they can't always get to City Hall, but if City Hall is brought to them. So we know one of the challenges is people, A, don't know where City Hall is. B, they don't want to go there, but they do have questions. It's kind of intimidating if you've never been there and you don't know who to talk to, if you just want an answer to a question. So we're going to start to pilot this concept this year and take City Hall out and meet with people. It goes well with the idea of our State of the Community speech, which is where we're going to go out and meet and talk to people. And we're going to see how it works. But at a certain point, as I tell people, when you have all the information given to you, you can't say, I did not know. I don't know, oftentimes is a cover for the fact I didn't care. So now you're going to have the information. You can choose whether you want to get involved or not. So police continue to do community engagement. We try to find out ways to do outreach, different people. I know we have Target Tyler. Is he still here? Did he leave already? He left already. Okay, he did warn me. So we did have Target, the store manager from the Target campus down on Starlight area that was here. Both Target and Walmart have been working with our police and fire department to help provide gifts or toys for kids. Things that anytime we've needed things, both businesses have stepped up and helped provide things. Is it bike locks? Is it bikes? So this year we're going to continue that idea that we get out there and talk to people, continue to get out there and engage. And we couldn't do that if it wasn't for businesses like Target and Walmart giving us the resources to hand out. It's nice to go out and talk to a kid. It's another thing if you want to go talk and provide them with a bike. And so I would hate to say that we would not have that program, but they have stepped up. We know that other businesses do this as well, but we wanted to highlight Target and Walmart for really stepping up to the plate. Some kids don't have bikes. Just like if the cops send kids fishing, the idea that somebody in Minnesota wouldn't have the chance to fish simply because they have no one who'll take them fishing. As mentioned, we continue to move forward on Cities United and My Brother's Keeper. Both of these things will go on long beyond my term as mayor. It'll be the next term because we're talking about a generational challenge, which is trying to affect the effects of violence and lack of opportunity to young males of diverse backgrounds. So we are heavily engaged and we use those resources as much as possible to try to make smart decisions. Because what happens when a kid is 3 determines what happens when they're 18. So whenever you meet someone who at 18 is in the wrong place, maybe the criminal justice system, if you go back in time, it started long before they were 18. They may not have family people. They may not have a person in their life. May not have a chance to learn to read. Things that I take for granted, some kids grow without. And then you wonder why as they get older. So both these organizations, Cities United is something with National League of Cities. My Brother's Keeper is part of the Obama Foundation, which came out of the Obama White House. And it's the idea that we have to continue to look at different stages in youth's lives and what can we do to fix things. And I'll point out, nice thing is you go out to the Obama Foundation, you get some heavy hitters as far as community engagement. You got Stephen Curry from, I don't know, arguably one of the best basketball players in the world. But you know, another thing, another good all-star is, I know I won't get him to stand up, but I'm going to ask him, is Antonio Smith. If you'd stand up. Antonio didn't think I could work him and Stephen Curry into the same sentence, but I pulled it off. So Antonio is the heart and soul of this. He continues to engage not only in our community, but nationally. And that kind of exposure helps Brooklyn Park because we're not just doing it for the street cred, we're doing it because it matters. And so we're really trying to measure every aspect of a youth's life and see where we can make positive changes. If it's not making things better, stop doing it and continue to do that. The problem is you won't know if we're doing good work for 5, 10, 15 years. So all you have to do is keep your nose to the grindstone and continue to push forward. And that's what we're going to try to do. I mentioned this before, part of our idea on the action plan seems really simple. Brooklyn Park historically looked down on apartment dwellers, right? The truth is, people didn't like, they said it was crime, there's all these problems, right? And so how do we treat those people? Like criminals, like problems. We're trying something that seems unique, which is to treat people well, treat them with respect, and if you start to do that, you get some back. So we're really doing what we call Action Plan 2.0, which is start to engage with them. So things that we used to do for single-family homeowners, we now try to do for apartment owners. We're trying to also make sure that apartment managers are doing simple things like, hey, can you pass on the information about the city? It's a simple request. You wouldn't believe how many don't do it. So we figure if the more people that engage our community, if they go to buy a house, they take pride in things. And so we're going to work heavily on doing a better job of that. We're also going to do a much better job of working on affordable housing, because anybody who's tracking things knows that affordable housing is getting more scarce as prices go up. We all cheer that prices go up, that your home is worth more. The problem is people with less ability to pay, they can't afford to live there. As part of that effort, we've started work on a mental health unit. I think we are trying to use data to drive our decisions. So too many of our calls are to go to help a resident who's suffering a crisis, whether it's they haven't taken their medications, whether they're not getting good care, whether something has happened in their life. And what is the default social worker in cities nowadays, nationwide? It's 911, which means that any officer can arrive somewhere to do with something that they don't have the training for, or that they may not be the best source. If a person needs help, we tend to rely on the police department to do everything. They're the code enforcement, they're the mental health, they're the truancy officer, they're the person who works on homework. You could go down this long list, and it's not really effective. So we're gonna try something, is we're gonna have the mental health unit led by Detective Brown, which I really feel bad because it used to be Officer Brown, now she's been promoted so many times. She's an awesome work. She did a lot of work with our youth. Now she's moving into this. She's gonna be looking for resources in our community. So if you are with an organization that offers resources, I think she's gonna look for allies, people that they can refer people to. When they see people in crisis, sometimes there's no one there to help them. And so if we know there are people that they can reach out to, and so we are gonna use as much as possible, not just about feeling good, but about delivering results and seeing if we can kind of twist or bend the needle on some of these issues. I don't know the percentage, but I know it's pretty significant for how many people of our calls are actually mental health calls. Today in Champlain Park High School, when I talked to those 4 classes, we got into some good discussions about suicide by cop, which is not a unique situation where people in mental crisis decide they want to commit suicide by calling 911 and then pointing a weapon at an officer. And so these things are impactful, and so we're going to try to see what we can do to do a better job. Oops. So this is the first of the initiation for our 2 new council members. I will point out that the person on the right is Councilmember Tanya Westhafner. Don't worry, we got one for Councilmember Russell. Or I should say Councilmember Russell, watch out, we have something for you too. So Tanya there, we've been doing a lot of work to try to get residents into our police, our fire program. We also have adopted a strategic plan that we expect sometime this summer we will start to move toward, which is what does the next level of fire support look like? So oftentimes, fire support is all about, we think fires, but it's not all about fires. It's about health and many other issues. And now that we're moving more and more toward a full-time fire department, I think you're seeing the effects of having those ability for people who work full-time to go out there and engage in the community. And so I think we have a video, if I pull it
At
off.
this Brooklyn Park home, family helps overcome challenges.
No strangers to difficulty and tragedy in our life.
Nicole and Rich Peel, along with their 6 kids, are now stronger than ever.
Probably box the phrase, but you know, what doesn't kill you just makes you
It
stronger.
does.
Nicole, a cancer survivor. Then last month, Rich suffered a heart attack.
And my son James helped me get him from the chair onto the floor. All of that training, that CPR training, just came flooding back in.
Training that first responders say helped save Rich's life before they got there to resuscitate him. Then 12 days later,
Nothing again. I started CPR, I called 911. I was just calling out to God saying, please don't take him from me. I can't do this life without him. I need him here.
and once again, firefighters, police, and paramedics to the rescue.
And I'm here, and it was less than 1%, they said, survival rate.
Those people are amazing too, our 911 responders.
Today at Brooklyn Park Central Fire Station,
Doing pretty good. Yeah.
Rich and Nicole were there as all of those first responders
Kathy Welsh,
were recognized for their heroics.
Dan Smith. The quick response from everyone here today allowed Rich to return home and to continue to live his life.
There aren't words that can encapsulate how grateful Nicole and I and our 6 children and family are.
Grateful to be here, thanks to Nicole and this first responder family.
Answered prayer, our prayers were answered because he's still here.
In Brooklyn Park, Alex Hagan, KARE 11 News.
So that's just what a small investment is. I think for that one family, that little investment in having firefighters who are all EMT, every single firefighter that arrives at your house or business is an EMT. It means they are qualified to do support above and beyond what we used to be able to do. And so we're very grateful for that. And so later this summer, we're going to talk about what we're going to do to make sure that we have a future-proof plan. Last, and this is where I'll point out that Councilmember Russell is in the middle. He's never looking so stern as he is right there. He's very serious. But both our council members, West, Hafner, and Russell, have dived right in. These are only in the last few months. So if you wonder about a learning curve and waiting for a person who's just elected to get in there, they're not waiting. They're very engaged. And so we've been working hard on the DED, which is Deferred Enforced Departure. Did I get that right? And so it's basically a lot of librarians came here during the Civil War. And I always point out they came here legally, because people nowadays get caught up in legal, illegal, this and that. They are here legally, and they've been here for many years. And every 3 years, the president would renew it. The problem is, if you're on DED, there's no path to citizenship. So people might have been here for 20 years. They have family here. Their kids are Americans. They were born here. They may have been married. And so things like this have caused a problem. And so we are trying very hard to get a resolution. And so I suspect, and I'll say it publicly, because we have till this fall to get it done, because next year is a presidential election, and I think everybody in this room knows nothing gets done in Washington, D.C. during presidential year. So we're hopeful that we can get a clean bill that will give them, the White House has indicated if they get a bill clean, they will sign it. So our job in the next few months is to get it to them. And so we can take care of this once and for all, not have every librarian under this status, and it's not a couple, it's a few thousand, many people in our community, off of this and into their path. They are Americans. They've been here for longer than many people have. They've been here legally. It's time to recognize them for that. So we are working heavily on that. Another campaign we have is just also built in Brooklyn Park, which is the idea that we're going to highlight different businesses who make things, who create stuff in our city. I can't remember what the big award show, Proto Labs was in one, but here we try to highlight different ones over time. And so we highlight their business. I know Diversified Plastics. I think we did something about what your work ended up in space. So anytime we can highlight something unique, we try to highlight what's being made. If anybody after this speech needs alcohol, I would suggest here's an option for you. It'll help you sleep well if I haven't done that already. So this distillery is working in Brooklyn Park. He's working hard, fighting through that. And so a lot of these things that we're trying to do is highlight any businesses that are built here so that we can hopefully support entrepreneurs. So I think we have one more video, right?
Skolven is the combination of the Norwegian words cheers and friends, which defines their motto.
We're Brooklyn Park's oldest distillery. We got that the first day we opened.
They are a spirit addition to Brooklyn Park's business community.
And we looked out to see what there was. We figured there'd be 100 distilleries, just like the microbreweries. There was only 2 at the time, and we started changing our business planning, going, oh, maybe this is something we can get into.
The access to 4 major highways and affordable production space has helped Skolven flourish.
We're in over 400 liquor stores across Minnesota, and it's a hot seller at a lot of liquor stores.
Skolven is proud to be built in Brooklyn Park. Visit brooklynpark.org/makeithere.
So these are the type of campaigns we try to highlight our different businesses. Restaurants. I think anybody who's ran for office in Brooklyn Park knows that your brochure must have, I'm going to get more restaurants here. I went back, my first one, that's exactly what it said. And so I'm here to tell you, they're here. So that doesn't mean people don't complain. I have no illusion on that, because whatever we bring in, it's never the right one, or they want something else. We expect in the last couple of years, there's been over 20 new restaurants, and there are more coming. And so we know that people have asked, don't you worry about the market share? Our city is over 80,000. We have plenty of customers. They're just going somewhere else. So over the next few months, you're going to see even more open up. Here's some local ones, which goes to speak that we've been also trying to make sure we support local restaurants. I think we have them there. This one, Tomiko. So Brooklyn's is one of that. People have asked for a sit-down restaurant. You can go sit down in there. Everybody can go right from there to there. I think people have noticed that it looks a little different inside. If you haven't been in the restaurant, and we're not done. We're talking about redoing the deck. We're talking about a wedding chapel. There'll be a lot more things. Notice we're not putting the wedding chapel where if you do a slice off the first tee, okay, so it means it's safe from me. And so we've tried to put a lot of this. I don't know is there any former council members here? I don't see anybody. They're probably in the bar, yes. So we thought it appropriate to say thank you. Because guess what? The work that we've done on redoing this clubhouse did not start this year. It started about 5 years ago. It started by getting a report that said we needed to change things. It started with that council putting the first $2.5 million into the course. And we always knew that we were going to tackle the clubhouse once we felt we had the right partner, and we think we do, in D'Amico. So I just want to call them out. Councilmembers Bob Maida, Rich Gates, John Jordan, Elizabeth Knight, Mike Trepanier, and Peter Crema all played a role. Even though they're not in office, we would not be here without their votes. I will also point out, and I wish they were here because they would get it, John Jordan is to the left of Elizabeth Knight. That should be reversed politically. And you could probably move him as far off on the edges as you possibly could. I made sure I sent him the slide just to kind of rub it in. But we think it's important because the things that we do this year may never show up. 252 is going to show up 4 years from now. But people took votes and did things. So we thought it appropriate on this, the clubhouse, that we show them the respect of showing that. Other developments, if you look in the right, that is Panera. They will be approved here, I would expect, in the next couple weeks, and they'll start breaking ground. Jersey Mike's, like I said, no matter what we bring in, I know it's not the right thing, but people are getting less and less to complain about. So we're pretty happy. We think there's more coming because, frankly, the market's still underserved. And we're also, as we do this, we're trying to support our small, non-chain, family-owned restaurants. So job growth remains a focus. That's one of the key things about getting those restaurants. They're up there by where the jobs are. We are still shooting for 50,000 jobs by 2040. We expect to do that. Our policy, what we are trying to do, we are very focused on quality jobs. We're not as interested in stuff that doesn't pay well. We're trying to get people connected in our city to jobs as much as possible. And so we're going to continue to be focused on that. There are opportunities coming that we hope to develop. And so we look for anybody in here. As much as we talk about bringing new jobs in, we also want to make sure people who are already here, when they go to do expansion, we're having the same conversation with them. And so we want to make sure we support them. I think this is another video.
Cars passing by this intersection of Highway 169 and 101st may soon drive by more than turkeys in a field or open land in this section of Brooklyn Park.
The interchange at 169 and 101st is going to be under construction starting this fall, and that really opens up those office park areas for investment.
Investments. BP's Executive Director of Economic Development Authority, Kim Berggren, tells me could lead to a projected job boom and add to the 29,000 people already working in this city.
Brooklyn Park's intending to have at least 40,000 jobs by 2040, and we're striving for 50,000 jobs.
It sounds wonderful for the business, for the community.
Ian Bowie's Empty Noodle sits close to several of these sites, and there were thousands of future workers could potentially collect their paychecks.
As long as we can manage it, then it sounds good.
A mile from this Vietnamese restaurant is where the city announced Monday McLaughlin, Gormley King is moving their insecticide manufacturing operations to this building on the west side of town.
We're consistently seeing new companies come in, bringing in 100, 200 employees per company.
Berggren says those new jobs could be for high-tech manufacturing and medical device manufacturing companies. Target, Takeda Pharmaceuticals, and medtech company Olympus already have offices in town. And experts say highway improvement projects in the works, existing office space, and available undeveloped land are some of the big lures for potential big business fish here.
So we continue to work with all our partners. I see Senator Hoffman came in, recognize him as one of our partners at the Capitol. So give him a round if I could, please. So we know a partnership with the state means that we can access funds in what's called the MIF fund or Job Creation Fund, and we continue to do that as much as possible. Eventually, we expect that Brooklyn Park will break 100,000 in population. That is what we think it is possible that we will surpass Bloomington as far as the largest, 5th largest city. And so we think those are good mile marks. We think people will come if they want to be here. I don't know anybody who wants to go to a city that they don't want to live in. So we know that if we continue to hit all these different points, whether it's parks, whether it's jobs, whether it's places that they can enjoy their lives, that they will continue to move on. Housing continues to be a focus. I think it's safe to say, and I'll wait and see if I'm corrected later, but we're starting to get to the end of the land for single-family housing. There's less and less of that available on the market. More and more, our new housing is going to be condos or apartments. And so we are heavily geared up in making sure that we engage in that effort. Last before we start is one of the ideas I think that we wanted to highlight and ask for people in this audience that may have the ability to take on interns is Brooklink. Brooklink is one of those things, we used to talk about engaging with youth to lower crime. That we used to say, if we can do things better with youth, we'll have less criminals. That sounds cool up to a point, right? And then suddenly you're like, okay, that's not a way you want to talk about youth. You want to talk about providing opportunity. So Brooklink represents a partnership between the 4 school districts, both colleges, North Hennepin and Hennepin Tech, Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, and Hennepin County to help drive jobs. And so we're trying to provide an opportunity for youth that may not have someone in their life who represents, that they see go to work. I don't know how many people think back to you, or I know watching my dad go to work every morning was how I was introduced to work. And so people sometimes don't have that opportunity. So we try to do things called mentorships or internships. We get students who've gone through some classes on expectations. 5 o'clock means 5 o'clock, not 5:07, not 5:30. Things that you expect as an employer. And we work with them, and then we ask for people to help take on some of these interns. Some of them will just be there for 20 hours. They'll learn about the job. Other ones might get hired. Boston Scientific has stepped up to the plate. They've offered full 4-year scholarships to some of their students with the intent that every summer they come back and work for them. I'm not suggesting that's for everyone, but the idea that you could maybe take on an intern, teach them something unique. People want to learn all kinds of skills. The next generation of workers and business owners are out there. We just have to try to make sure they get exposed to things. And last, just want to highlight a couple things I think you'll see in our community throughout this year. We have a few new faces. I'll ask them to stand, I'm sorry. So first I have Brianna. She is working inside our development area, especially housing and business development. Camille Hepela. Camille works our PR, and I think maybe happier, not the weekend anchor anymore. Although her husband's home too, though, so we'll have to argue with that one. So she joins us from Care 11, and I think continues our tradition of bringing in people who understand public relations from how it's consumed, not how it's made. And so we feel blessed with Brianna and Camille, and then certainly not least, but Daniela. Is Daniela here? She's standing in the back. So ready. The best description I give of Daniela is that she's your business advocate. So if you are thinking about starting a business, if you have a business, you want to expand, if you're having challenges, if you want to help finding, if you're looking to sell your business, she's your person. So if you're looking for land, she's kind of your one-stop that you can go to for help. So I just want to thank everyone for coming today. This is our first day of the community. The rest of the week, I did 4 today. This is number 5. We've got 27 to go. We are going to take this out to the community and let them engage and talk about different issues. And so I just want to thank everybody. If you haven't had a chance to walk around the clubhouse, please do and take a look, and we'd like your feedback. So thank you.